Purpose is not something you have to go out and find.
Right.
Purpose is always something you've probably already been operating in, but haven't taken note of it. And I always say your purpose is not the thing you do. Your purpose is the thing that happens in others when you do what you do. Nobody better than a mom is more equipped to figure this out.
Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Ooh, friends, y'all better buckle up for this episode. I mean, you're going to want to listen to this probably on a repeat. This has been, for me, a highly anticipated interview with Jade Simmons. I saw her speak at Dave Ramsey's EntreLeadership Summit last year, was immediately connected to her, just what she was about, her speaking, her messaging, like everything. And so I asked her to be on the podcast and she said yes. Super excited. So let me tell you a little bit about Jade. If you are not familiar with Jade Simmons, she is named one of the best keynote speakers of 2019 through 2020 and 2021. Jade is a creator of transformational experiences designed to activate audiences into becoming the biggest, boldest versions of themselves possible. Having seen her speak, I can tell you that's exactly what she does. The world-class concert artist has been called a musical force of nature with an uncanny ability to connect with the sounds of today. Jade is the CEO of Jade Media Global, a revolutionary live experience and global content distribution company specializing in 360-degree personal development and strategic transformation. Following an artistic epiphany, she pivoted from playing the piano to impress audiences to using music as the vehicle by which to provide the inspiration, entertainment, and transformation that profoundly moves them instead. If you ever get an opportunity to hear her speak, it's really just one of those performances that will forever be in my brain. I've never seen one play the piano like her and speak and provide the experience that she did. Today, Jade's experiences not only delight concert audiences, but her dazzling high-impact presentations are fast becoming the go-to fuel for the world's superlative brands and organizations from financial services, biotech, entertainment, education, energy, and beyond. The likes of Dell, Raytheon, NBC Universal, Pfizer, Intuit, QuickBooks, Nationwide, Hershey's, and the Royal Bank of Canada are bringing Jade in to power up their people. In her career as a concert pianist, Jade has remained committed to expanding the boundaries of classical music. Simmons has toured the U.S. extensively in recital and with orchestra, highlighted by performances at venues as wide-ranging as Ravinia, the Chicago Sinfonetta, I'm totally butchering these names, in Symphony Hall, New York's Town Hall, Detroit Institute of Arts, and the halls of the White House. She has been named one of the best of South by Southwest and has also received the Sphinx Organization's Medal of Excellence in concert held at the U.S. Supreme Court. She is just amazing, y'all. And I'm so glad that y'all get to hear just a little bit from her in this podcast interview. And you'll want to definitely go follow her and stay in touch with her. She's just, you'll see. So I'm going to quit talking about her and let you see for yourself. So grab a pen and a paper, or if you're doing your laundry or whatever you're doing, like, you're going to want to come back to this episode. So thanks so much for being here, for following the show, for continuing to share the show. You will definitely be sharing this episode. So without further ado, here's Miss Jade Simmons. Well, welcome back, friends, to the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. I am so excited about today's guest. I met her. I didn't meet her. I've been following her. That sounds kind of creepy, doesn't it? Following you,
We've been
Jade.
connected.
But yeah, so the first time I was introduced to Jade was at the Entree Leadership Summit. So my church was hosting that, and she was a speaker there. And I just was instantly inspired and encouraged and challenged and all of those things. I'm like, I'm going to meet this woman one day. Like, I'm going to invite her on the podcast. She may say no, but I'm going to invite her anyway. And so I am like girl fan a little bit. I'm girl fan a little bit, Jade. So thank you so much. I know, like I said before we started recording, that you have a lot of opportunities and you're traveling a lot and just living out the purpose that God has for you. And so thank you for taking the time to just spend a little bit with us today here on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for wanting to have me on. I'm honored.
It's awesome. So for those of you that don't know, those that are listening that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about you, your family, how and why you became an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that question, I'll tell you what, gets harder and harder to answer. Like the who are you question. I feel at this point that I'm forever in progress. I'm forever evolving. But so the easiest answers I can give you right away. I am a happily married mother, wife. I have 2 kiddos. I'm married to my high school sweetheart, Jarrell. We've been together 15 years old, and we are not 15 anymore. And we have our oldest son, Jaden, is 14, and our daughter, Jossie, is 9, going on 24 at least. So I'm enjoying my life where those roles are concerned. I went to school to become a classical concert pianist, and I did that. I was one of the lucky ones. You know, a lot of musicians want to be musicians, and it doesn't always turn out that way. But I was blessed to, and still blessed to have a performance career in the world of classical music. But a few years in, I started spreading my wings in a lot of different directions. And the nutshell story is that I also speak, I also write, coach, and entrepreneurship. I don't think I realized that's what I was signing up for. You know, as an artist, I think the first realization as an artist is that, oh, we're entrepreneurs, but nobody ever tells us that. We just know artists. Yeah. But if you're actually going to make a living and pay the rent, you're an entrepreneur. And unfortunately, a lot of artists didn't get that. And so my early foray into coaching was teaching other artists how to build a business around their art. And so today I help corporations bring me in, and I speak to organizations like what you saw at Entre Leadership, where I'm talking about just the inspiration needed to keep doing what we're doing when we're building something from scratch, when we're building teams, when we're creating culture, and when we're trying to turn a profit and be prosperous in more ways than one. So I love speaking about those issues. And I realized a couple of years ago that I've never really worked for anyone else. I had maybe an internship in college because it was required. I remember working one summer at Express right before I went to college, and I got lots of jeans, lots of free jeans, or at least heavily jeans. But other than that, I've never really worked for anyone else. So my work experience is pretty much 99.9% entrepreneurial. And I couldn't imagine it any other way.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So there's always a mess before the success, right? And I think when people hear those relatable stories of the journey to where you are today, and maybe some of the things that you wish you would have known when you first started. You know, there's mompreneurs that are listening right now that maybe this year, this is the year they're going to finally start that business, you know, or look at that business in a different light, or maybe they're just on the struggle bus right now. So it's helpful to kind of hear how you came through some of those. So what are some of the lessons maybe that you've learned early on that could help someone that's listening?
Yeah, as I'm thinking about who usually listens to you and where they might be, especially if we're either about to launch or launched a while ago and it's not quite going how we thought, or have been doing this for a while and it's, you know, relatively successful, but we get a feeling that there's something more. I think I have at least 2 or 3 tips that you can run with. The first, as an artist, we wait around for many years waiting to be discovered. The record label going to discover us, a manager or an agent, when are they going to discover us? You know, is this conductor going to discover us? And what I realized pretty early on is that I could potentially be waiting for a long time.
Mm,
I always say, don't wait around to be discovered. Discover yourself instead. And what I mean by that is doing some real intentional inventory, not just about who you are, but what is it that you're designed to uniquely offer.
mm,
And I think especially for mompreneurs, especially those, some of us are in direct sales, some of us are running a family business, and then some of us are really creating something from scratch on our own. It can be so easy to look to the left and right and either A, replicate what you already see, or B, be demoralized because you go, well, I kind of want to do that, but they're so much farther ahead. And
yeah.
does the world really need another,
Yeah.
insert profession, title, role here? And the answer is no, they don't need another. They need you. They
Mm,
need your unique way of doing it. So spend
yeah.
some time really asking, what do I offer uniquely? I mean, there were lots of artists who were classical pianists, but there
Mm,
was a way that I did it differently, not just in the playing, but in the experience I created. And then number two, I would put on all the brakes and really figure out what your purpose is. And when I say that, I want you to breathe easy because purpose is not something you have to go out and find.
right.
Purpose is always something you've probably already been operating in, but haven't taken note of it. And I always say your purpose is not the thing you do. Your purpose is the thing that happens in others when you do what you do. Nobody better than a mom
Mm,
is
yeah.
more equipped to figure this out. If you want to start at home, look at what happens and how your kids happen in life
Hmm.
because of how you mother them.
Mm,
So mom is actually not your purpose. People don't like to
right.
hear this. Mom is a role,
Right.
and your purpose gets to ride itself out in the vehicle called motherhood. It
Mm,
also rides itself out in the vehicle called wifey. It
hmm.
also rides itself out in the vehicle called business owner. My purpose is not to play the piano or to speak or to write. My purpose is to activate audiences into becoming the biggest, boldest version of themselves possible, the one that I believe God created them to be. Now, I get to do that activation in whatever vehicle I want. And I think sometimes we get stuck. Those of you who've been doing this thing for a while, guess what? You're not stuck doing that one thing. If you feel it's time to change, your purpose, that thing that happens when you do what you do, gets to come with you. So I think when we talk about feeling stuck, it's usually because we've either outgrown a space we're in, haven't maximized the space that we're in, or are still waiting for permission to be who
Yeah.
we're genuinely called to be in that space.
That's so good. Like I'm just literally picturing all the different ways and the vehicles of the purpose. Like you said, the purpose doesn't change, it's just how God uses it and where he places you. And those that have been listening for a while have been with me on this journey where I did transition out of a 15-year career in direct selling. And God was like, you're done there. I have a new assignment for you. Yes. And it was a very scary moment, and obedience trumped comfort for me. And so I did walk away from that. And I'm seeing, I'm still I'm still in my purpose, but I'm starting to see now, okay, he wants me over here now. He's not done with me. And I'm still going to be able to utilize and live out my purpose. But I think there is a lot of confusion around that. And I know that's one of the things that, like, I love that you, said remix your purpose,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what this podcast is also about, remixing what it looks like to be a mompreneur who's fulfilled and not hustling 24/7, 365, and sacrificing her family and her health on the altar of success. That's really why I wanted to start this podcast. And I love that you've remixed what purpose is. And that was one of the one things that stood out to me the most when I heard you speak, was this idea of it's what happens in others when you do what you do. And that can be anywhere.
And it's so freeing because it can't
Yes.
be anywhere. I mean, my intent with that statement is to free purpose
Mm,
for people. First of all, to take that stress out of, oh, I'm 50 years old and I haven't discovered. Well, you've probably already been operating in it. We all have an effect, for
yeah.
better and for worse. We all have an effect. And so the work we do is not going, we don't have to go out and choose a purpose or pick a thing to do. You go back and you look at the trail you've been leaving. You look
Mm,
at the effect you've been having. And people say, oh, well, Martin Luther King left a trail. I'm just regular old,
yeah.
insert name here. That's not true. Purpose is not the monopoly of so-called really important people or famous people or great humanitarians. God has gifted every single one of us with purpose because that unique purpose is tied to his overall purpose.
Right.
So if he only gave it to superheroes, then what's the other billion, of us down here doing? So
Right.
to me, the journey is we get to look back, and even in my kids and your kids, you can see there's a certain effect that you have that's different than the effect that daddy has. They come to mama for one thing, they come to daddy for something else. They're annoyed by mommy for really that same reason. Mommy's going to push, mommy's going to activate, mommy's going to say you're playing small. They don't always want to hear that. Well, that's the other thing. Purpose is not always something that's warmly welcomed in the room. Doesn't make it unnecessary.
Right.
I mean, almost every corporate space I'm in, I'm saying something that people weren't expecting me to say, rubbing them in a way that challenges them, always in love. My brand of inspiration to the women I coach, it's not all hugs and pats on the back. It's, better.
Yeah.
When you gave me my point number 3, which is for advice, you said, obedience having to trump comfort. I talk a lot about quick obedience. Slow obedience is the same thing as disobedience.
Yeah. Yeah.
How quickly can we say yes? All this prayer, God, send me revelation. I want confirmation. And then he sends like 10 different points of confirmation. And we still go, I don't know if that's me or is it God? Or am I not being a good steward if I were to leave my, comfy spot and go to somewhere else? And so, it's easier said than done in some ways.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, when you begin to exercise the muscle of quick obedience, which is the habit of leaping with God, jumping when he says jump, oh man, it's so addictive. And it's my current lifestyle. My sister says I am a professional free faller in faith. So I
love that.
And she's like, the rest of us are trying to leap and you're out here free falling, with no bungee cord. It's like, I just trust that he's given me a big, bold idea. And he's a God of order, a God who lives outside of time.
Yeah.
He must have this all worked out. So my only job is to respond to the revelation. And I try really hard to do that and to get my team to do it as quickly as I do as well.
Well, it was so refreshing. I sent you a DM about this, just being a part of Gray Week. And I hope those that are listening will go check that out for next year. It's the week after Christmas and between Christmas and New Year's. But just refreshing to be around women like you who are very ambitious, but also keeping the main thing and taking that radical obedience. And, the people that have been on this journey and see me take that step. I had a friend call me the other day. She's like, so what exactly did he say to you? Like, they're trying to live out the same thing. And I'm like, I mean, I can just share what I can share in my experience and how he spoke to me, but I can't tell you what to do. I wanted someone so clearly to tell me what to do. And he's like, I'm right here telling you.
I'm telling you
what to do. And it really was coming to that place of realizing I'm walking in disobedience. And that was the defining moment for me was, okay, I'm just going to jump. And like you said, free fall. And I know he's going to catch me because you either believe he will or he won't. Yeah. You either believe that he will or you believe that he won't. And we can't just say that about easy things. We have to be able to say that about the hard stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, we love the feeling of getting a new word, right? Of getting a new revelation. And we can also become addicted to the people who seem to always get revelation. So I know in the coaching that we do, we're talking about Designer Growth Club. You mentioned Gray Week.
Yeah.
It's a group that I started for visionary women of faith because I would run into all of these, Christian women who had big, huge vision, but there was a gap between where they were now and this vision that seemed to live on this other side of this, chasm that was really hard to get to. And I wanted to figure out how can I better help them get closer to the vision that God has put on their hearts? And there were a couple of things that were always coming up. Mindset, right? Their mode of operation once we got the mindset right. And really the speed of obedience, which is directly correlated to the speed of breakthrough. Yeah. So the quicker we obey, the quicker we get to the next thing. And then I always say, look, breakthrough isn't always what you think. It's not always, unicorns and rainbows. Something has to break. Yeah. Something has to break for better and for worse. But you're right. Being in a community of women who aren't blindly ambitious,
Yeah.
but who are ambitious in him for
Mm.
the things that he has for them. We make no apologies for believing that God has called us to do big, fat, great, world-changing things. And sometimes the world is the corner of the world we're in. Sometimes
Mm.
it's in the region. Sometimes it's a nation. And sometimes it really is an invention, a
Right.
weak invention, as the word of God says, that is going to change the world. And so we don't shy away from that. And I think I learned on my own a couple of years ago, after an experience where I wasn't supported as much as I thought I would be by women, where
Mm-hmm.
God said, I need you to be the support that you wish you had.
Mm. Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's how I've been spending the last 2 years, either in mentorship or in coaching, trying to be the support and the belief system that I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of women with wonderfully wild ideas don't always have.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was yesterday in my devotional, I came across a verse in Matthew where it talked about their unbelief and he wasn't able to do mighty works because of their unbelief.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many times have I read that scripture and it just kind of went over in my head?
Yeah.
And, how big of unbelief is a hindrance to Christ's favor in our life. And I'm like, belief, I thought of you with breakthrough. I'm like, belief equals breakthrough. Like
Good.
you have to believe, that he is going to do those things. And it's not always easy. I'm not saying like everyone that's listening is like,
No,
oh, just believe. It's not easy on some days to believe. I definitely had my, oh crap moments. What did I just do? I just walked away from a secure income of 15 years into
yeah.
nothing. I felt like Abraham, just
Yeah.
go. And I'm like, okay, I just went. And now where? And he's like, I don't know yet. I mean, he knows, but he didn't
Yeah.
reveal it to me yet. And he's still revealing it to me. But I just think it's a really important conversation to give people, like you said, that relieve the pressure. There's so much pressure as entrepreneurs, as mompreneurs.
Yeah. And I think, for moms, and I always like to be really transparent. When I started everything, it really was just me. I mean, I was the only person in my business. I was the marketing team, the social media team,
Yeah.
the strategy, the finance. I was everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was mom. I was doing that, helping the kids with the homework. I was doing all the housekeeping. I don't cook. My husband cooks, so I am very blessed there.
Whoop, whoop.
I was doing all the things.
Yeah.
It's not the same now. I am doing a ton more in my business, but we also have a nanny. We also have a housekeeper that comes every 2 weeks. My
Yeah.
mother lives here in Houston. My sister's here. She's extremely busy as well. But I do have support structure that maybe some people don't have. So I think it's very important to be transparent first about the need for help.
Yeah.
And then the reality of the time it sometimes takes to get help. But let me give you this here that I hope will feel good to hear. The help that you need is closer than you think. And it's also not as expensive as you would imagine.
Yeah.
When I think back to my first virtual assistants and those people that I used, if you pick the right person, even that investment will yield a result.
Right.
And probably the scariest thing about purpose at some point is that your purpose will be too big for just you.
Yeah.
It will require you to build some sort of team, whether that's just structuring your family life so that your family functions as team until you can afford that one person who can help. I now have a team of about 8 people. My team has been as large as 12. And so we're back to 8. We downsized right during COVID and we're back to 8, but I'm probably paying this 8 even way more than I paid the 12 back in the day. We've had that yield in the business. So I'm able to do more. But I'll tell you what, God doesn't want us out here working in his name and suffering and being broken because of what you said, poor health, not getting the rest that we need. So I think especially for mothers, we have to think in terms of seasons.
Yeah.
There's a season to lean into your business, but boy, you better alert your husband and your kids and let them know, hey, I'm in a harvest or I'm in a seed planting. I am putting some stuff down. I'm going to be on the phone more than usual. It's not because I don't value you, hubby. It's not because I'm ignoring you, but help me through this seed planting season. And then coming up, I'm going to have a rest season or a hibernation season where the balance will shift. So this struggle of work-life balance, it feels so elusive because we're trying to do everything at the same level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Firm where you can have it all, but it comes in different shifts in season. So I have it all, But
Right.
it's not all always at the same
Same
time.
time.
Yeah, or the all is supported by different cast members at a certain time. So I think freeing ourselves of certain notions is really important too as we begin to build
Yeah.
what we're
But
building on.
really, striving for harmony, that's the word that I like to use, is versus balance. I think balance is such a trap that we try to, that's why so many women are burnout, because they are trying to give equal parts of their time to everything. And that's just not realistic. So we just keep trying to do that. And one of the questions that I do like to ask every guest, since we're kind of on this topic, is on burnout. And if you have personally experienced burnout, if you have, what did it feel like for you from a, physically, emotionally, and then what did you do to kind of work your way out of it? Hey friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
Martine is probably the most versatile coach out there. She meets you where you are, whether it's personal or professional challenges, mindset, ideas, brainstorming, or digging into business analytics. She's so relatable and accepting that I truly believe she could help almost anyone.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martinewilliams.com with 3 times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, your guests are going to love hate me for this. I don't feel burnout very often. I also rarely feel stuck, and I hardly ever feel fear. Now, I know we're supposed to talk about all those things and say, I know we all feel these, but I am living proof that you do not have to experience those things as a normal occurrence in your life. So the reason I don't feel burnout is because I've learned the difference between being exhausted and being spent. So exhaustion comes from overwork or working in areas you shouldn't be working in, or being underappreciated in the spaces you're in, or working harder than you're working smarter. Spent is when you're working in the dead center of purpose, doing exactly what you're called to do. That work has in it its own fuel source. So even if I have 50 engagements, when I get on that stage and I know that I am speaking about the things that I am called to speak, I can be tired physically. And the moment my foot hits that platform, I mean, we know it as the Holy Spirit as well, but this energy rushes in and I am lifted up supernaturally in a way that I couldn't have done on Red Bull or pre-workout.
Bang or whatever energy drink is out there these days.
Whatever you do. I love Bang. I'll tell you what, I could be a spokesperson for Bang when I first discovered it, life-changing. But that supernatural energy takes over, because guess what? I'm no longer just doing my work. I'm doing his work.
Yeah.
So he's going to always make sure you have the energy for that. Also, when you're in the right room, you are fueling, you are making an exchange, right? Currency is money, right? Like money. So I'm exchanging the power within me, and you're feeding back into that because you're receiving it. That's why it's so important not to be in rooms that you're not supposed to be in, because you're pouring your, pearls before swine, however you want to put it, but even not so dramatically, just in a room that's not designed to receive what you have in this season. And you're giving your all because that's how you're built. They're not giving you anything back. Quickest way to burn out. Yeah. So what I'm feeling now, we talked about before we started recording, is I am taking the rest of January to really chill out because I didn't get to in December. So to be a good steward of the purpose, I can pay attention to the signs my body is giving me, which says, Jade, if you keep going at this breakthrough speed, which is designed for you to have without refueling, resting, hearing from God anew, and not working off of old marching orders, then you will have all the energy you need and then some for the rest of 2023.
Yeah.
But if you keep trying to run off of the manna of 2022 and not pay attention to the fact that your feet are hurting a little bit, or you've been working out a ton, your body needs a break, then you get to burnout.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the key ingredients is really asking the hard question, am I in the right space, doing the right thing in the right time? And burnout is usually a key that you're not. That you're not.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you were honest about that, because it is those little things over time that you're doing or not doing, like you said, and being in the right rooms with the right people, giving you the right energy. And I think it's one of those underutilized success tools that we have, like just like you said, picking and choosing and being in the wrong places. And it goes back to the purpose. And I had someone ask me, I didn't tell him who I was interviewing. I did today. I don't think I told him who I was interviewing today. But anyway, I just put out the question, hey, I'm having someone come on. She's the purpose pusher. I love that. Do you still call yourself that? Because I love that. If you're not, I just think that's amazing. That's great. So what questions do you have around purpose? And she just said, I'm not sure what my purpose is right now. It's almost like she knew what it was. And now she feels like she doesn't know what it is right now. So how does she find it?
Yeah. And you see the right now thing. So purpose never changes. Yeah. Now it sounds like a contradiction. It doesn't change. It does evolve. I promise they're not the same thing. By change, I mean, you don't have to be done with your job and then go, well, now what's my purpose? Right. No, I now get to say, how does my purpose look and evolve in this new season? I'm still activating people to be bigger and bolder, but in February, it's coming out in a new book. Right. So I may not be on as many stages. I may not be at a piano as often, still purpose. But believe if I'm giving a sermon, which I did last Wednesday, there was no piano in sight, right? No corporate audience. It was just the word of God. But the message was on dreaming bigger, right? So I'm activating them to believe bigger. Now, explicitly, I'm talking about in God himself, which is different than what I do if I'm, speaking to nationwide or coaches or something like that, right? So it's a different message, but the purpose is the same. So when you're at that transition where you're like, now what? That's actually a good time to say, actually, let me go back and do purpose work. I can actually look back and see what I was doing in this last place that I'm now leaving. And it won't be the title that you had. It'll be what happened when you were in the meetings. Why did people come to you to tell you all their business, right? And ask people, how come you always tell me all your business? Why do you? And they will say, oh, Martine, because when I talk to you, I suddenly have clarity. Or when I talk to you, I realize that I was lying to myself about something, or when I talk to you, I get strategy. So you take note of that and you go, okay, something I do brings clarity. You ask enough people, you'll start to hear the same words over and over and over. That is the key. So people were saying, oh, after your concerts, I feel like I can do anything. We kept hearing that. I feel like I can go back and say yes to this thing that scared me. Yeah. So people were getting free of the fear that was keeping them small. And note those things that you may not experience. Like I don't really experience fear. It's because I'm called to actually teach people to be fearless. Right. Who better to learn it from than someone who doesn't experience fear in the same way. Right. A different kind of empathy. I empathize because I can't imagine having to go through life like this. Let's get you out of that. Right. So it's a really wonderful job of exploration of self and looking back and seeing what kind of effect you've been having for probably your whole life.
And don't you think we're sometimes too close to it? Like we're so close to it ourselves that we can't see, which is why asking others what they see or why they're coming back to you, because you do have repetition in what people come to you for or what they're asking you.
It's easy to you. You don't give it a second thought. You just have advice. Right. You're like, oh, girl, you need to be doing this. And they're like, oh, it's life changing. My husband I call him like he's a PhD in common sense. So he's in this, house full of these complicated women and we're overcomplicating everything. And we have all these, this rubric and spreadsheets, and he'll come in and be like, how come you just don't do this? And we're like, oh my, mind blowing. And it's like 3 or 4 simple words because he always sees things that way. He also has completely wrinkle-free skin. He's only just started getting his first gray hairs in his beard because he doesn't overthink. He doesn't overanalyze. He doesn't worry.
Yeah.
He doesn't make things more complicated than they have to be. And as a result, his looks are benefiting from his cooperation, right? So
I love that.
this probably has to do with clarifying things down to the simplest answer.
Yeah. Yeah. And then taking action, right? I mean, action brings clarity. And sometimes we just kind of sit and wait. And instead of taking that next step, it's funny, this morning at our church, we had a prayer. We're having like a 21 days of prayer and fasting. And so I went, it was like 6 a.m., which is, I'm up, but I'm usually not like up and dressed and ready to be presentable at that time. But I went, and today we were praying over the women of the church, and that was the specific focus, was women. And so at the end, of course, I go to the front asking for prayer, just for next steps and discernment and clarity and all of those things. And as soon as they got done praying, I had to go to the bathroom before I headed to the gym. And I kid you not, like, I'm walking down the hallway and it looks like the bathroom is like shut down. Like, it was a dark hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And my word that I've been praying for God to give to me is just illuminate, Lord, just illuminate my next step. Whatever it is, I don't need to see. I've given up wanting the blueprint. Just give me the next step. So I'm walking the hallway, and it's dark. I'm like, is it open or is it not? I'm like, well, I'm just going to take a step. And this light cuts on.
That's good.
And then I go down and look around the corner, and it's still kind of dark down that hallway, but I walk anyway, and the light comes on. And then I go into the bathroom, and the light comes on, and I'm laughing to myself. So I'm thinking, this would be really cool to have in my house in the middle of the night. And then I get in the stall, and I started laughing. I'm like,
yeah,
Lord,
that's a whole sermon.
Oh, you're trying to show, like, you're giving me it. You're telling me, like, just take the step in the unknown. I'm going to light it up for you. And I'm going to make you light up the rooms when you walk in. And I'm like, that's my fresh word, you know? But it took me taking the step, right?
Every time what we say to the women we work with is just lift your foot up in the direction of the first thing you know to do. So I have never met a woman, at least not the caliber of women that I work with. And I always say this without a shadow of a doubt. I know that if we're connected, you're of a certain caliber, of a certain level of faith, of a certain level of achievement. So some things I just assume to be true.
Right.
And so I have never met a woman that I've worked with who, when she said, I don't know, that was actually the truth.
Yeah,
every woman who's ever said, I don't know. Even when I'm on the prayer team at church, so when strangers come up to me for prayer and they'll say things like, well, I'm praying about this and I just don't know, God always says, she knows.
Yeah.
So the first thing I say is, no, apparently you do know. And they'll look at me and they kind of like, they're busted. We know. Yeah. We know, especially as women, we have been gifted with another level of intuition. That's not girl power talk. That's not feminism. That is how God has created us. Yeah. That is our superpower, is that intuition, which is really the Holy Spirit in us speaking. We know. Yeah. The thing we don't know is the whole plan.
Right. The how-to is, how's this going to work?
From step 1 to 100. God, if you would just tell me, we have a lady in our group that, it's kind of a running joke with her. She goes back and forth with me all the time. We're all just like, why are we playing this game? And so sometimes you really don't know all 10 steps, but I promise you know the first thing. Yeah. And so we've seen people go from not knowing anything by the end of a week, knowing everything. Yeah. Because they step their foot up in the direction. And bonus inspiration here, I've noticed that sometimes even before your foot gets put down in the first direction, just the act of turning towards the action in faith will unlock answers and breakthrough almost instantly.
And opportunities. You see opportunities that you didn't see before because you're just too busy looking back instead of looking forward, into what's next and looking up. So, well, this is awesome. So tell me what you're most excited about right now in your season that you're in. I just want to say this, if you have not planned, I'm sure you've not planned to share the testimony that you shared in Grey Week, you've got to share that. I literally told my husband, so that was the best testimony I've ever heard professionally. Like every aspect of it was mind blowing. And there's so many people that would just be.
Yeah. I only even scratched the surface. I tried to tell it again at church on Wednesday. I'm getting better at it. But, the nutshell is that here's the moral of the story. Your prayer actually needs to change to, Well, Jesus told us, God, show me how to pray.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how, I mean, I feel like I'm the biggest dreamer out there. And he still ridicules me. He still goes, girl, you don't even know what big is, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
still always like teasing me. And that's just a relationship that God and I have. He's always like, please,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the moral of the story I'll tell it at the beginning is we have forgotten how to actually dream as big as God is.
Mm.
So the best prayer we can pray is, God, help me know what to ask for in you, and
Yeah.
help my limited idea of what it means to dream big not stop the bigger things that you have for me. I say that because the testimony you're talking about, in the last 2 months of the year, we had so much breakthrough financially, and just territorially, that there were things that weren't even on my list. Now, fast forward, Martin, I actually went back and did what I told you guys to do, which was to go back and look at old journals.
Yeah.
And I found in my journal that 2 of the things were on my list, and I had forgotten. I had forgotten.
The power of journaling. Why we should all be journaling.
So basically, I'd heard God speak at the end of last year during this gray week, which I feel is the most underutilized week of the year. It's the last week of the year. And it's when I believe God is aching and eager to give us divine downloads. And he kept saying to me, all things new, the scripture, I'm making all things new. Can you perceive it? Right. So stuff is always new around you. The onus is on us to look for it. And we had a yearly financial goal that we wanted to make, a revenue goal. We wanted to cross the 7-figure mark by the end of the year. We had done it previously before COVID, and I just wanted to get back to that, right?
Yeah.
So never ask God to take you back to something. Always ask him to take you forward to what he has for you. That's the sidebar lesson. And so we had a yearly goal. We wanted to hit 7 figures again by the end of 2022. And instead, we hit it by the end of February, going into March. Like by the end of the first quarter, we'd hit the goal. So it's kind of like, well, wow, okay, well, that's nice. He told me, again, all things new. I ended up with a new car. That was just one of those dream cars that
I love that story.
About but I'm not even a car person. Not even a car person.
That's what makes it even more funny of a story.
But I just kept seeing this car. Pay attention to the things that are just showing up and make no sense.
Yeah.
God would later reveal to me what that car represented in my life. It was an off-road. If you're wondering, it's a Mercedes G-Wagon. Mm-hmm. And I would see these cars, and they were just so over the top. I'm like, man, that would be really awesome. And because of this surplus, I was able to go get this car. But it was one of those things where it wasn't even like, and I was being a good steward. Well, God, is it responsible to get this car? And we can afford it, but should I get it? And I could, save kids in Africa instead of buying a car. And he said, you can do both.
Right. Yeah.
Both. So we ended up having our most charitable year as well. Yeah. I got that car, and it was cool because I went in and I paid for it cash, like cold hard cash. Bam.
All by yourself.
Yeah, I was just like one of those moments where he was like, I'm showing you that we are in this together. Mm. That we are in. You don't have to go figure stuff out. I've already got things figured out. And that was May. And then when I sat down with my accountant, again, speeding through all of it, I grew my team. We went from 3 people to 8 people. We're paying people more than I've ever been able to pay people. We actually pay in the top 1%. So we know if someone comes to us and says, you're not paying enough, we're like, oh no, yes, we are. My accountant always goes, you're really good to your people. But I believe that if you pour into and treat people well, and I compensate people based on what I believe they are going to be able to yield. Yeah. And I also want them to know that their value is not based on the bottom line for me. So that is a symbolic gesture, and it does yield results. So we have 8 people now on the team. We got to the end of the year, sat with my accountant, and I'm just wanting to go over the numbers. I knew we'd had a good year because we'd hit that record. I was not prepared for her to tell me. She literally was shaking on the call, and she said, I've never seen this much growth in a company in 1 year. And I'm like, okay, tell me what's going on. And so basically we had 7 figures of profit, just over and above what we were going for, just profit. And she kept saying, you've got to have expenses. You've got to have debt. What didn't y'all submit? What are you missing?
Yeah.
And what a testimony to say, when God brings the breakthrough, he's not going to allow the breakthrough to cost you in that way. Right. It's like, so everything was symbolic. Because of that surplus, I was able to bless my team with these very big bonuses. We're taking them to Paris next year
so fun.
We bought them all these gifts. And the scripture God gave me was that if you who are evil can provide good gifts for your children, basically imagine what I can do for you. And my team is women of faith, different levels of faith, some with a different experience of faith. And it was important to me to show them what the love of God feels like. Yeah. So when I was over gifting them, they were crying because it was almost like one lady had just started. She hadn't even worked a day in the company yet. And she was receiving the same gifts that people who had been in the company for a year or two had received. Wow. And so he gave me the parable of, the guy who has all the workers come out like at 6 a.m, 9, 12, and the ones who come in at quitting time got the same as the people at 6 a.m. And I gave them that scripture. And I said, you need to know that your value to us, your value is expressed before any of the work you do. We're not putting value on you as a human based on your output as an employee.
Right.
And to me, that was the most rewarding thing of the year, even though after that, we would find out that we had to suddenly spend a ton of money in order to help alleviate taxes. And we needed to buy a piano. And the piano I intended to buy was a really nice piano, probably a 40 or 50 grand piano. We ended up buying a top of the line, brand new, 6-figure piano that has this incredible state-of-the-art technology attached to it that lines up with the goals that God gave me for 2023. I needed a place to put the piano because it was too big for my house. So I started looking for a studio, which I thought would be a little 1-room, 2-room, just a little something. How many times do you say, God, I just need just a little, all I need? That's why I say, stop telling him what you need. You don't even know what he's preparing you for. We are now investing in a 4,000 square foot property that not only will be a little place for me to record, but will be a recording studio in the city of Houston that other artists can come and record. He gave us a whole new income stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
amazing. I listened to it 3 times, I think, because every time I'm picking up that, and it's just a powerful story.
I think remembering that God exists out of our time. So people kept telling us, we know you're looking for a studio. We know you need a building. Leases don't happen like this. You got to get everybody at the table. Oh, if you're going to tear walls down, you need an architect. Every team member we needed, we found within 48 hours. We had 2 weeks left in the year to close on this space. My sister's in commercial real estate. She says this never happens. Our broker was like, I've never worked this fast. And I said to him, welcome. This is breakthrough speed. And this is what this is what we major in. Yeah. And so we were also we were stretching all the people who were working with us who admitted later, we didn't think this was going to happen. So we had blue architect, general contractor. And in 2 weeks, the week of Christmas, guys, Christmas to New Year's, great week, right? We were closing on a property where people should have, wanted to be checked out. But God gave us the authority also. So those, the moms listening, I don't care what degree you don't have. I don't care what experience you don't have. God will give you the authority to operate in your area of purpose and breakthrough. So we were literally commanding this room of men who didn't know me from Adam, and they were doing what we said to do. The last day of the year, matter of fact, instead of a Friday, we closed on that Thursday. They thought it couldn't get done by Friday. And God said, let me just do it on Thursday so you know that this is me, right?
Yeah.
So, it's powerful. I felt spent. And so now I've got to go and refuel for sure, because breakthrough will push you. And if I just want to end by saying, if you've been preparing and getting things ready and doing all the things you're supposed to do, and you feel like I did all this stuff and it still didn't look like what I thought it would look like, do not grow weary in doing good. There's three things to know. Sometimes you're not ready and God is so gracious. He wants you to be able to carry the breakthrough and he'll use the time to prepare you. Sometimes the thing that you're birthing, your purpose baby, is not quite ready for its debut. That's grace, right? To have the time to get that ready. And then lastly, sometimes the world hasn't been ready for what you have to offer. Ask Jesus in his own hometown, right?
Yeah, true.
So as you're getting ready, don't be discouraged. Know that if what he did for me, since God is no respecter of persons, that same level, if not greater breakthrough is due any one of us. The only thing I think I did religiously was we stayed in a position of radical generosity. We stayed in a position of radical obedience, and we stayed radically expectant. We knew that if he showed it to us, he was going to make it happen, and it was up to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, couldn't y'all just listen to her for hours upon hours? I mean, Emily was like, okay, well, what? I know I only have this amount of time. What do I really want to ask her? What do I want to talk about? So just amazing. I know that people are going to go and follow you. Tell us a little bit about, before I ask you about that.
Yeah.
That verse that you talked about was the verse that God gave me last year about don't look back. I'm doing something new. Do you not perceive it? And all last year, I'm like, I did the new thing, but I'm not perceiving it. Yeah, you're doing it, but I don't perceive it. Hello, I'm still over here trying to perceive it.
Yeah.
It's funny because that verse keeps coming up again this year. I actually said that to my husband the other day. He's like, what is the new year? That's a verse people use for me. I'm like, no, I'm hearing it in different places and spaces than I usually would hear stuff like that. But so speaking of new, you have a book coming out.
New book, Purpose the Remix.
I love that.
That whole statement, that purpose statement, I've been saying it for about 8 years, and people were like altering their whole lives, hearing it one time. They were quitting their jobs. They were going on missions. They were starting businesses. And I thought, whoa, wait a minute. That was like 23 words. Like I should probably expand on this. So I just finished writing an entire book that I believe is the definitive guide to what purpose truly is and how it really works for us. And my prayer is that it frees us. And first of all, we realize we've been operating in purpose for a long time, but now we get to intentionally recycle that purpose and let it ride out in the vehicles that give us fulfillment. So that's coming out on Valentine's Day because I want you to fall in love with your purpose.
I love it. I love it. That's so awesome. Well, I am definitely going to get my hands on that. I'll be the first one in line to order that. And you have another book too, Audacious Prayers. Is that right?
Prayers for World Changers. That one has an anniversary coming up. It gives you the big, bold words to match the big, bold dreams that God has in your heart. Years ago, I felt like we were praying too small. We were praying so underwhelmingly compared to the God that we have. So a lot of people read that at the start of the year or any 31 days you pick it up. And what I love is they say, it doesn't matter what day they pick it up or if they miss a day, because it's a devotional.
Okay.
It always speaks to them on that day they're on. So I'm excited for your people.
Awesome.
And there's an audio book with that as well.
Okay. Is it your voice?
Yeah.
that was a dumb question. Of course.
No, it's not. A lot of even speakers don't read their own books. I've never understood it. I feel like our voices carry a very special anointing for the people whose ears are tuned to the frequency of it. So get the audio book and pray along with me. We'll do a live version of it this year in April as well.
I was going to ask you, are you going to have a live event?
Yeah,
that's so cool. So if they want to like stay in touch and follow along, like when the book's launching or when you're doing your live event, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, we're going to do a really fun sort of kind of falling in love with your purpose challenge that comes out as the book comes out. So I'm on Instagram most often, or I should say most actively, at official Jade Simmons. My website is jadesimmons.com, and you'll find out everything about the book in either one of those places. But you can also find me on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube as well. And I love dropping, we call them Jade's gems. So little bits of inspiration and having purpose powwows. So please don't be shy, reach out and interact. I love seeing people have aha moments that take them in directions they hadn't dreamed before.
Well, this is awesome. I'm so thankful that I went to that event. It's the only event I went to last year because God had called me into that season of rest. I'm just trying to be really obedient to that. But I'm like, this is a virtual event. It's just right down the road at the church. I'm going to go. And I'm just so thankful that our paths have crossed. And we'll put all the links to all the things that Jade mentioned in the show notes so you can keep in touch with her. And just thank you so much for the work that you're doing. It's refreshing. It's empowering, it's encouraging, and it's so needed. So thank you for being obedient to your call and doing what God has asked you to do.
Thank you so much for having me as well.
This is great. All right, friends. Well, I'll catch you on the next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.